I don't know if that hit the live or not.
But we're not on YouTube.
Started a little early. Normally I get my hands raised right at the right time and then I hit it, but it was a little early this time. Hello and welcome to Corner Comics, your mostly weekly comic book reading club. My friends and I get together, we share a few issues, then we talk about those issues. I'm joined by my friends, Emmanuel and Russ. Gentlemen, how are you doing this weekend?
I'm doing great, and my quote for today is, "As you rise and seek to achieve, remember it is done to you as you believe."
It's actually kind of deep.
Nice.
I gotta stop and think about that for a minute. I'm gonna have to ponder that after the show.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm doing great.
What? You don't have a special word of the week?
No,
There's no competition.
it's gonna
here.
come and go. It's gonna come and go. I want to be unexpected, so I'm doing great.
Indeed, but I was waiting for it, dude. I was expecting there to be a special word. I've got dictionary.com pulled up.
Really?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
You're letting our fans down, man. I need you to come with it.
Right?
Consistently come with it. That's why I changed up. In case you came with it, I was like, let me change it up. You're not ready for this one.
Right?
You guys weren't ready for great though.
All right.
Did I use splendiferous already?
Splendiferous.
Splendiferous. I like
Has
it.
has that made it into the lexicon, into the dictionary? Or
We'll
is it
see.
only I mean, I know people use the term, but it's like a pescatarian. It's probably not in the dictionary yet.
As long as we keep using it, it will end up in the dictionary eventually.
Okay. So
So-
it's our job to properly wordinize this thing.
Yeah. So this is episode 34 of Corner Comics. You can find us live every week, Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight or Standard Time, at twitch.tv/Corner Comics. If you are listening to us, the audio-only version, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts at. You can get us there. And if you happen to miss an episode, cornercomics.net, check us out there. You can find most of the old stuff, slowly adding the archives to the website. And we also have some articles that we write from time to time. Just different things that we're thinking about comics, or like this week, Russ did one on the 5 things that every superhero needs.
Yes, and I'm ready to argue every one of them.
And I did an article this week about getting into 90s X-Men comic book collecting, and one of the key issues that you should probably look into. But Emmanuel's not buying it. So this week we've got 6 issues. I did switch up the order a little bit. I felt bad because Russ had to read 2 graphic novels last week. So I'm making his first. You ought to start at which 2 you've got, Russ?
Yes, the first one I have is "Something is Killing the Children" from Boom Studios. And my second book, which I believe is a classic, is Chew, #1. And you can read it legally free online. And it's an Image comic.
Yeah, you can get it at Comixology too, because I downloaded it there and did the panel by panel to read it. Manuel, your 2 comics this week?
Sure. My first issue is Inhumanity, Superior Spider-Man, issue #1, the 2014 run. And then my second issue is Batman Elmer Fudd Special. You didn't know you needed the 2 together in one story until now.
All right, and the 2 comics that I have, the Phantom #1. This is the 2014 run of the comic, published by Hermes Press, which is not an imprint that I've ever heard of before. It was a comic that I picked up back in 2014. I just saw it on the shelf and was like, the Phantom is cool. It's a #1 issue. I'll buy it. Never read it until just now. I was digging through, and I was like, you know what? I should probably read this. I bought it 6 years ago, so it's time. And then my second issue is Saga #5. Just a random issue from the Saga run, so that we can sort of talk about that series. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it then. Russ, your first book.
Okay, my first book is Something is Killing the Children, #1, and that is exactly what the comic is. There's nothing else in there that you need. It starts off a little bit as a kid horror story, and you see the kid that's living through the process, and then things get revealed over time. I'll leave it at that and leave it to my illustrious friends here to tell me what they thought.
You want to start us off? Yeah.
Sure. So, right out of the gate, it is very dark. It seems kind of in the tone of Stranger Things. And one of the other books that we reviewed, that was Kids Killing Zombies, it kind of had the same theme as well, with kids all unsupervised in a living room coming together and talking. But I think this is more of like a overnight, like they're all spending the night and the world is normal outside of them just telling ghost stories. And then it turns for the worst. There's something deeply unsettling about kids being maimed, massacred, and murdered. All the 3 M's.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that's exactly what the writer, storyteller, author, artist was going for with this, because you just hate to see, like, even a fictional character, fictional youth, go through this, and there's a panel where half of this kid's body is gone, and he's like, I can't feel my legs, and like all the feels. Like, this one issue brought my emotions to the forefront, and I appreciate that. It made me feel. It is well done. The writing is well done. You can get the characters, you can feel for the characters, and the small little interaction that the reader, have with them. There is some sort of emotional connection there, and then you get deeper into the main character's life, being bullied, being ostracized, and then there's this teacher or principal that you can kind of connect with. All the characters, I gotta say, they're really fleshed out. It's not too much. It's not overly done. It's not too much exposition. Just enough to let you peer into this world and make you believe it. And like Russ said, the title definitely delivers. Something is killing the kids. It's whatever that something is. You see it, but you still have no idea. You can't say it's a griffin. You can't say it's a particular mythical creature, at least not one that I've seen. So that something is a real thing.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah, this is, I guess the best way that I can describe this book is it's a cross between Stephen King's It and Stranger Things. Like, that's sort of what I get from this. Like, that's the vibe that I think they were going for as well. Artwork, I really liked. I really liked the way that the children were drawn, and just the character work that was done. With the exception of a few panels towards the end, a few pages towards the end, it's not an action-heavy book. So to have the same movement and emotion brought forward through the art is an accomplishment. I don't know what I think about where it ends. I feel like this as a single issue is a hard sell, because it benefits from, I guess, being a collective whole, and it needs to be like a graphic novel. That being said, Rustin put the link for all 4 issues, so I didn't feel forced to read all 4 issues.
That's right. I care.
Right. But this is something I could definitely see, like a rainy Saturday afternoon. This would be a great book to just pick up and read through. Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I think that it accomplishes what it set out to do. And it's rare that you get sort of horror in this vein in comics. I feel like it's not done that often. So, yeah, good pick.
Yeah, I am not necessarily a fan of the art. I
Oh,
understand it's stylistic, and I like that it is, and I like that that style is consistent. That being said, it didn't take away in any way from me enjoying the story, and I felt compelled to find the next issue, which I did and will not share with you because you can't be bothered to read. But I think that the story progresses well. I think that think about if you got this book on Free Comic Book Day, the whole idea of this point is to get you to push you to get to the
yeah,
next, right? And
yeah,
I think that it gives you enough to set up the world well enough that you can decide, do I feel compelled to move forward, or is this, am I one and done? I think it fleshes everything out well enough, and like Emmanuel said, we do get to know who these characters are. We do get a feel for who they are. I think it does give you feels. I think all those things together makes this worth it to me because, and again, it does propel you forward because in the end, how can I help? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think there's something there, like, okay, what does that look like? How does, and are there any powers here? I like that the girl was wearing a mask in these times of she had a nice skull mask that she wore under her eyes or whatever at one
Yeah.
point. I really like that, and I thought that was a little timely, even though not necessarily relevant to what's happening in the world. So I'm glad you enjoyed the bit that you did.
Yeah, there's one panel. I don't know if it's the same girl, but she's talking to the main boy,
Hmm.
and she like brushes her hair back, and there's like this. I don't know if it's a scar or they don't really talk about it. It just kind of is there.
Yes, you have to read the next issue, homie.
Yeah,
That's how it is. But they gave you a clue.
it's
It's
yeah. There's
something
like
more.
little hints here and there. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I thought it was good. I'm surprised you didn't like the art as much.
It's just not my style. I prefer something a little more realistic, I guess, if that's can even be said about comics. I prefer proportions to be, people's eyes are bigger. It's like manga. You know what I mean? It's like you already know that everything is sort of out of proportion. I'm not mad at it. It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's just not as realistic as I would like. Like, there's some things we all three of us have watched, looked at, and loved,
Yeah,
right? And usually those are the things that are almost hyper realistic. You know what I mean? Like the poses, the proportions, all of those things are great. And this doesn't do that. This is not to say it's bad, but if I had my druthers, but then again, it's a horror book. So everything is off kilter in a horror book, right? And how do you, like if you look at listen to a horror movie, there's music and other things that throw everything a little bit off balance. And I think this art does that too
yeah,
in the way that it can on the page. And I think that is very appropriate for what they're selling in this book.
yeah. I think we should point out too James Tinian. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. The fourth,
Hmm.
probably most notable for his Justice League run recently. So this is something way different from him. If you liked his work on Justice League, then I'd say this is worth checking out for sure.
Yep.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Nope, not at the moment.
All right. Going from off kilter art to something entirely cartoony.
Yes. Okay. So Chew to me has always been a classic. I've heard the comic book mentioned in TV shows and things like that. So it's one of those books that most people who have a lot of comic experience have at least touched
Yeah.
sometime in their life. But I wanted to bring it up here to make sure that everyone does, and to also let everybody know that you can check the first issue out for free and see if there is something there for you. Uh, I like the idea of having a power that is a curse, but that no one can see you suffering.
Yeah.
And so this book sort of brought that, and it's not one of the big two. And well, I'll talk more about it later. Tell me what you guys thought.
Manual.
Oh, sure. I'll go. It reminds me of Heroes. There was an individual who had this ability when she touched something. I think it was a woman. When she touched something, she can gain the history of that thing. She can learn the history of that thing. But this is a lot more invasive in that he actually has to chew and bite it and ingest it and taste it, put it in his mouth. That must suck. That internal conflict right out the gate. He's solving murders. I think he's a detective. I know he's a police officer, but a detective. And at least his partner knows what's going on, because otherwise he would look really, really crazy just biting random objects that you have to save for evidence. The art itself is good. It's cartoony, but it is good. And I say cartoony in the very positive way. I like it. It denotes a lot of imagination too. Like the proportions aren't right in this either, but it works. It definitely works. You see, there's a panel where he's eating a burger. You see in the background the slaughtering, how the cow died. So you just get a glimpse into the horrors that he has to go through when he eats. And no wonder he's skinny, because he only eats beets. That's the only. This is great. This is well written. I like just the different layers and the buddy cop situation where they're not really buddies. And I don't think it's going to come out like a typical buddy cop story where they stay buddies in the beginning, or they'll bump heads in the beginning and then by the end they'll be buddies. No, they're done. I like it. There's nothing bad I have to say about this comic. The colors, the artistry, the plot itself, I like it.
Yeah, this is one of those books, like Russ was saying. Anybody that's into comics, it gets thrown around a lot. I think part of it is because it's so unique. When did this come out? Like 20.
I want to say 2013, but let me see. I put it in the notes. 2009.
Yeah, it was early to the late 2000s. But so you've got, I don't know, 60 years of comic book history, and a guy that ingests stuff as his power of premonition. I think is kind of a unique concept, and um, to have that, yeah, I think that was part of the reason that people were just like, whoa, this is so, so different. Um, I put in the show notes that the reason I'm a libertarian is because I don't want to live in a world where chicken is outlawed. That's what you get for this. And the artwork sort of complements that. It's a play on the whole Sunday Funnies and is very stylized. But it's contrasted with a fairly serious story, especially this first issue. Tony Chu, they go to a restaurant. He has the chicken soup. The chef had cut himself, and some of that blood ended up in the ingredients. He then has this huge wave that hits him, and he's like, oh my God, the chef is a serial killer. We have to stop this guy. Yeah, it's crazy. His partner gets hit in the head with a cleaver. This is well worth anybody's read. And I'm surprised that I didn't get into it before now, because this is the first time that I'm reading it. I know people have talked about it. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm glad you brought this so that I could force myself to read this, because I should have read this 11 years ago, and I didn't. And I'm probably gonna have to go through and read the rest of these for sure. Like, this is,
You must.
yeah, this is great. There's a
So
go ahead.
go ahead. So there is a comic book you brought to us a few months back. It was sort of like Star Trek plus magic plus hope. I don't remember what it was called.
Wasted Space.
Yes. So there is a Chew Wasted Space series.
Oh, like a crossover.
Yes, it exists. It is there. It came out this year.
Nice.
So like if you're interested in that, like seeing these characters in a place, and then on top of that, this is the last thing that sort of made me bring it up. There is a new Image book called Chew, spelled CHU, and it may or may not be his daughter.
Nice. Okay.
an entirely new series. So if you like this and you want to move forward, first of all, I think everyone should be reading this series. This is just a great series. All the things you think about, all the things you need in the book. It's going to be. Wait till you see the evil chicken Pollo, right? Which just me saying that could put whatever image you want in your head. But this chicken is a killer, and you need to just read this series just to find Pollo.
Okay.
Um, but if you find there is something here you like, uh, then there is more, and there are new things in this universe being created. So definitely dig in, get your free issue. I guess you can. Can you get this on Comixology too? Or does
Yeah.
it cost?
So yeah, the first issue's free on Comixology. I think the first like 10 issues are only $2. Um. So
So get a
Nice.
taste, and if you like that taste, move forward. Definitely worth your time. Good reading, very entertaining, as well as comical and deep simultaneously.
yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, great pick. Like I said, I totally slept on this, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it because there's so much here. The artwork alone, I think is it has a almost like graffiti aesthetic to it. Um, which I mean, obviously, spending time in Southern California, you can kind of garner an appreciation for that. Um, yeah, definitely. Any final thoughts on Chew?
It is completely and wholly unsanitary that the that the chef just blatantly just left blood on the table and contaminated. And I know it's a comic, just bears mentioning, have to say it for my own peace of mind. That is awful. That is completely awful. But you're living in a world where chicken is outlawed, so anything's up for grabs, I guess.
Well, I was gonna say when you make stuff like that illegal, that's what happens. You create a criminal element
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
how
breed
many times?
unsanitary.
How many times have you eaten at a restaurant that had a C as their grade? Right? Not a A, not a B, but a C. Now you know those good Chinese food places sometimes they don't have an A or a B, right? But they got a good deal on the orange chicken, right? I'm just saying. How do you know there's no blood in your orange chicken?
Well, I've never gotten sick before, so there's that.
Because you've been doing it, eating it for years, and you've built up a tolerance.
All right. Emmanuel, your first issue of the week.
All right. My first issue, scroll down here, is Inhumanity Superior Spider Man #1. This is, let me set the scene a bit. The city itself is in chaos, it's distraught. I believe this inhuman event happened. And they also allude to the Mad God Titan attacking as well. Or Thanos, I'm sorry. The Mad Titan, Thanos. He attacked, and now you have these dilapidated buildings. Firemen are all rushing to help to put out fires to make certain that people are safe. It's kind of reminiscent of the annual for 9/11, where all these heroes and villains came together. I'm not even going to go on a tangent for that one, but you just have this city that's in chaos and this dilapidated building and Spider-Man, but not the Spider-Man that you know and love, not Peter Parker. There was a time where Doc Ock has inhabited Spider-Man's body, took over his body, lived his life. This is the superior Spider-Man. You guys, what do you guys think?
I'll go. This is the best Spider-Man ever. It has nothing to do with this book. It is Doc. It tells you the thing that I believe that has always held Spider-Man back is Peter Parker. Right? If you take a guilt-ridden Peter Parker out of the equation, Spider-Man excels. Spider-Man is smart. He's capable. You know what I mean? He gets all the red-headed women. He's good to go, right? He got Spider-Man. He's got he's in shape. Danger can't catch him sleeping. He's got all the powers and everything to be amazing, and he's super intelligent, and yet he's always can't pay his rent. Right? That's not Spider-Man's problem. That's Peter Parker's problem. So now, right? Because right? Because now when you look at you have Doc Ock in the body of Peter Parker, right? The only thing different is his own brain. The abilities are there, right?
Yeah.
And yet, see what he can do. Is he not a superior Spider-Man? Now, granted, he may have some ulterior motives, but he doesn't murder, right? He may have, you let the Punisher murder, right? He doesn't even murder. And why would you hate this Spider-Man? Granted, he's taken the life of the Peter Parker. He subverted him. I know you gotta run with some of this, right? But
yeah.
Look at all he's hired a staff, right? That he controls, right? He is able to, he's doing all the things that Peter Parker as Spider-Man should be able to do and is not. He is every bit the superior. The only area where he's not superior is in his moral fiber. And who cares? This did take place during that time. This is canon.
Yeah.
Now, the art is a little off to me. It has moments where I feel it's really great, especially the coloring and things like that. But sometimes the angles of the nose and other things are off and throw me off a little bit. But the story is good. It's a one and done sort of complete-ish story. You get the full motivation of Spider-Man. You see, and part of this is the redemption of Doc Ock, who was a straight up villain. And you see him changing even in this book. So I think it was a good pick. What do you think, man?
I like it. I think I'm a little bit bigger on the art than you.
Okay.
The one thing that I did put in the show notes is that there are panels that feel stiff, but I don't think that that's a bad thing because it has a very painterly, watercolory aspect to it, which I really enjoy. I think it actually comes through. It is really nice. I like the suit. I think the suit design is way better than classic Spider-Man. Yes. I also put in the notes that I think this was based on one of Alex Ross's designs for the Sam Raimi movie. I do have a little bit of trouble with Doc Ock as Spider-Man, though. I don't know. Like, he is a straight up villain.
Look at all the lives he's saving. Do you see the lives he is saving? Do you see the choices he makes that are subtle enough to not have people be punished? Do you see the discernment that is happening in this character?
I'm trying to find out what is it about Peter Parker's biological makeup that causes somebody to be that person, I guess.
I think it was there was a period of time where when Doc Ock initially invaded Peter Parker's body, he also gained his memories as well. So Peter Parker was in there with him, but Doc Ock was driving. So he got to feel those emotions of Ben Parker dying, of him not doing anything, that great power, that great responsibility. He felt all of that. He has his emotions. He's uniquely Doc Ock, but he also felt everything that Peter Parker went through up until.
And then you have to add the fact that he is arrogant, and he can't believe that someone not as smart as him have been beating him over and over, and he still has to prove that he is better. That if he had these powers, he would be way better than Peter Parker would ever be. And therefore, this has to be proven in all aspects. And he's still got a lot to learn and a lot to grow. And if you'll follow, as I follow, been following him since the beginning, because, again, it's my favorite Spider-Man, right? I like him even more than Miles Morales. So get over that.
I mean, there's some cool things like the spider robot companion that he built. Like, that's super cool. Right. Why does Peter Parker not have that?
Because Peter Parker is Peter Parker is the weakness of Spider-Man.
I mean, he's got he does have the facilities to mentally to do something like that and be like, well, let me make this easier on myself.
And even after he came into his body again, he could have kept that up and say, okay, that worked, so I'm going to keep that.
Yeah.
No, he did not.
If I'm not mistaken, too, they don't show it in this book, but so Doc Ock as Spider-Man does have like the tentacles, right? He has like spider tentacles that he uses.
He
The Iron
has
Spider type
he
of
has
thing?
yeah he has
Yeah.
he does use some technology to augment his already spidery abilities. And since he's already used to arms, it's no big deal to turn them into spider legs.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool too. Overall, I mean, it was a great pick. I like the artwork. I do have trouble with Doc Ock as Spider-Man, but I guess if he has experienced what Peter Parker has gone through, that makes more sense to me. That he would carry on the legacy.
And remember, he's got to prove. Remember, Superior. He named himself that.
Yeah.
He has to prove he's better at it. And like most decent villains, their arrogance pushes them in areas that they really don't necessarily need to go, but have no choice.
Okay. All right.
Also,
Do we
also
want
in the storyline, I didn't see Superior Spider-Man really connecting with the guy because remember, Doc Ock had tentacles himself. So,
Yeah.
and they controlled his mind and kind of warped his mind a bit, made him a bit more chaotic. There's an argument there if that was really him or was he influenced by the machines. But I would have thought he would have a little bit more sympathy for the guy and his destructiveness. But no, that was never brought up. It was never like I could relate and then did a flashback. None of that. It was just get to work.
He saw himself as this misunderstood villain, and he saw this misunderstood villain here. And he thought that misunderstood villains, there should be compassion for them. And so he granted this guy compassion.
Well, I think it was less to do with him. If it was just him, he would have just decimated the guy. It was more to do with his alien wife. Like that's why he displayed compassion because of the wife.
Well, even then, isn't that a quality you like in a hero?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say that's whatever the motivations for the villain. There's some compassion that can be,
Okay, so you're just mad because the villain. I just think every villain. Wouldn't it be great? Isn't it more interesting that villains trying to become heroes? Isn't that what the Thunderbolts are really about?
I mean, we'll get to it, I guess, at the end. I kind of make that argument a little bit for Magneto. So no, yeah, I think it's interesting. Do we know where the suit came from? It's an alien technology that landed on his roof, right? That he got, and that was why.
Right.
No,
I don't think it's that.
He just redesigned his suit.
Okay, all right.
That's it. He's not. It's in alignment with who he is. We got rid of that bright blue and we put some black in there.
No, I'm talking about the villain in this book that he goes up against. The guy that's had the dying wife.
Oh yeah, he does. This guy was only a villain for 5 minutes.
Right.
His wife was dying. Some technology landed on his roof. He found it and used it to make himself better. He didn't have time to go to a beautician.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like they should have recruited him because if the suit wasn't already retrofitted to do what he had it do, he could be valuable for a company. I mean, it's not like he didn't display genius level, but he displayed a really strong intellect.
Isn't it very likely that Doc Ock, who said in the book that he was taking this technology for himself, isn't it very likely that he was usurped that technology or has his staff do it for him?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Good old Doc Ock.
All right.
So, moving on to my second pick, which is Batman Elmer Fudd special. This is the story, ladies and gentlemen,
Russ is face palming for all our audio listeners.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. This is Batman, Bruce Wayne, in league with Elmer Fudd, the one who fights the wascally wabbit, speech impediment and all. Short men with a shotgun and a weird, I forget what type of hat you call it, but Elmer Fudd hat. He in all his glory. It's not very cartoonish. It is in Batman's world. It's in Gotham, I do believe. It's grimy. It's gritty. What would happen if Elmer Fudd vacationed for a little bit in Gotham with his shotgun in hand with an agenda?
I'm gonna go first because I know Russ is just gonna.
Yes, please do.
He's gonna go on a trajectory. So when I saw this, I was like, Emmanuel didn't put a title. He just posted the link. Just for everybody that is curious, he didn't even tell us what this was. He just posted the link in the show notes. So when I pulled this up, and I was like, what the fuck is this? You guys gotta remember. You guys gotta remind me to mark this specific episode as explicit for using the F word. But I scrolled through it, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then I went back and I took a serious read of this book. This is my favorite book of the week. This book was phenomenal. This was fantastic.
Yes.
The title of this story is Pway for Me. Pway. The narration is done in perfect Elmer Fudd language. You have a fight that happens between Elmer Fudd and Batman. The WB characters from the cartoons that you grew up with, they exist as real people apparently, and this is now canon, right? Like this is a bar that exists in Gotham somewhere, Porky's Bar.
Nope, I don't accept that. Continue.
But this is phenomenal. So we've talked about Tom King before. We had Strange Adventures is the new Adam Strange book that he's working on. He's won an Eisner Award for his work on Miracle Man. His run on Batman was highly lauded. I don't know why he didn't get an Eisner for this book. This is my favorite Tom King work that I've read so far. You have to read this book. I'm literally going to go to the comic shop, talk to the owner, be like, John, find me this book so I can add it to my collection. I loved it. The artwork, the way the dialogue was written, everything was great. So Russ, what do you think about it?
Okay, so every character that you've ever seen in a Bugs Bunny cartoon is apparently very human. And they all apparently are at this bar at the same time. Like this bar must be called the WB.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Porky's.
Yep.
Which is a guy who looks sort of pig-ish and has a turned-up nose. And they say all the things, right? And there's so many, like you can tell he loves, there's so many different tiny cues towards the cartoons throughout the book, like probably 1,000 of them, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at the menu on tonight at Porky's, WC and the Roadrunners.
Yeah.
Specials today are Hassenpfeffer, if you remember that cartoon. Banana cream pie and Thuffer and Thuckatash.
Yeah.
Right? All these, this is just one panel. So everything. Now, here's my thing is, so what the heck is Elmer Fudd in this? Is he an assassin? Is Elmer Fudd a shotgun-toting assassin? What is his job in life in this universe?
He's
not a cop.
No, he's a gumshoe.
He's a gumshoe with a shotgun.
Yeah, it's like a crime noir, right?
Right. And then you got the guy that is Bugs Bunny, which is a guy who looks ridiculous and has extra big front teeth and is eating carrots in a bar.
Yep.
Right. Which to me means Bugs Bunny. right?
Mhm.
Let's just be real. Bugs Bunny is more than this, right? This is just an ugly guy, and he, you can see how the characters. And then you have Yosemite Sam shows up in the background. You have all the characters that you may or may not remember if you watch those cartoons are there. And I know why this book exists because AT&T owns Warner Brothers, which owns all the DC comics and all of the Bugs Bunny series and all of that. So it makes sense that they would come together, right?
Yeah.
They really. My issue is that at sometimes it's serious, and then they do something stupid, and then sometimes serious. There's like when you make up your mind, what line you're straddling here, right? And then I said, you know what? I'm just not going to take any of it seriously. That's the only way I can continue, right?
Mm.
And see what the motivations of the characters were, right?
Yep.
You've got Alfred is there, and you see Elmer going to kill Bruce Wayne and talking to Alfred at Wayne Manor. And no one is saying anything about his speech impediment or the fact that he's carrying a shotgun. Is it sawed off? I think it's sawed off shotgun, right? Throughout the entire thing, right? So it's blasphemous and funny at the same time. For me, however, the second part of the book, which is all comedy from beginning to end, and we talk rabbit season, bat season, and everything else, that was great. That was a classic comic. I give Tom King a lot of credit for writing a comic that totally gets all of Bugs Bunny and making it work. The whole rabbit season conversation, and then having Batman show up and it being bat season, and every time, and Batman just like, you know how it would get shot and they were like, look at the screen. Batman does that. To me, that was amazing. That book, well worth the money. So I can't really. I'm not really down with. I mean, I like it as a comedy thing. No way is canon. The hell with you. If you ever say it, I will, scorn you till you die. But it was enjoyable, and it made fun of all the things you love about Batman and Elmer Fudd, and it did that well. That is my take.
Okay.
I really love that the first comic ends with the three of them, Bugs Bunny, analog or character, Elmer Fudd, and Batman, all just drinking carrot juice.
Yeah.
They've
yeah,
just
it ends-
resolved to just settle their differences.
Yeah, it ends
I was
with-
expecting to see the bartender be like, that's all, folks.
Well, he did say
But,
that.
he kind of did it.
Yeah, he
He
say
did
that's
it.
all, folks.
But in a very yep, that's all, folks. That was a great nod. I loved it. What were you saying, Matt?
well, I was gonna say it ends with them, all three of them having a shot of carrot juice together. Yeah, this
Beautiful.
I was really surprised because I went into this like, what the fuck is this? And
But
then,
I got issue with him getting the drop on Batman at any time. There's no way you're gonna elevate Elmer Fudd to someone who can get the drop on Batman. That is way too much. This is Elmer Fudd that has fallen for every one of Bugs Bunny's schemes, even right after falling for one seconds before. And then you elevate him to somebody who can, for at least a few minutes, go toe to toe with Batman. No, not good. That's too much. That's my point. That's my thought.
all right, so yeah, the fight that happens between Elmer Fudd and Batman.
I just can't hear that with this straight face. I'm sorry.
So there's a fight that happens between Elmer Fudd and Batman. If you suspend disbelief and say that maybe the shotgun went off by accident and caught Batman off guard, I think Elmer Fudd stands a chance. It goes off and then he realizes what's going on. Like Batman's behind him.
Face palm.
But yeah, he straight up whacks Batman in the face with the butt of the shotgun.
Batman is a master of martial arts. There's no way that gets to happen.
I think a lot of it has to do with the longevity of the character. So I'm assuming, I could be wrong in this, I'm assuming that the Looney Tunes were before Batman. So with that,
No,
paying
I don't think
homage,
so.
they weren't?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe the just longevity of the character as a whole. not before Batman, not before Detective Comics,
But
but just in general, paying homage to this character. And if this character lived in the real world,
no, if his character lived in the real world, he still would not be able to take Batman. No, he's still an idiot in every screenshot you've ever seen, every
I have to beg to differ.
Well, because someone wrote a comic that doesn't make it canon. Someone wrote a story. No, it's not actually canon.
I'm just saying, if Jarro can be Batman's sidekick, I'm saying Elmer Fudd can get a couple hits in.
No, because if Jarro is Batman's sidekick, Batman is still Batman. Right? Right? Batman does not get caught with some gumshoe with a shotgun taking him down after 20 years of being Batman. No,
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it. In this comic, though, if you want to do that, that doesn't make it canon. That just makes it that's what happened in this comic. And that's fine for this comic, but you don't see that stuff anywhere outside of this. Right? There's nothing that shows that Elmer Fudd is any skill in fighting and martial arts at any time. And you give him that, which is way beyond anything that is ever evidenced in the history of this character, even in this book.
All right.
He learned it from the Acme Training Company.
Yeah,
Obviously.
We know how well that works.
I'm just saying, if I get a chance to write Batman, Bruce Wayne is going to go have a drink at Porky's bar. That's the only reference that's going to be made.
Then you're going to have to write your own comic and hope you don't get sued. There's no way. And this happened at a time where they had a big crossover with the Looney Tunes characters and the DC Comics characters. So there's a whole series of these, right? There's one where there's a Hong Kong Phooey and Black Lightning team up, because as you know, Hong Kong Phooey is black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a Hong Kong Phooey Black Lightning team up. There's a Huckleberry Hound teams up with somebody. There's and Daffy Duck actually teams up and becomes a henchman for the Joker.
Nice.
Right? And he's really good at it. Just because he can't really die because of whatever blows up. Daffy Duck is going to survive it because he's a cartoon character. So Daffy Duck, looking like Daffy Duck, not like a human being, and the Joker team up.
All right.
So, and anyway, I think he tries to get a job with Lex Luthor. That doesn't work out, so he ends up with the Joker.
That's awesome.
So there are a lot of one-shots out there that if this interests you, there's more to it than that. So if you like this, you will very likely like the others. I think even Top Cat is in one of them. I don't know if he's teaming up with Superman or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, this took me by surprise for sure.
I remember trying to read this the first time, and I never finished it. I was like, nope. And then now that I was forced to read it, now I can get my full ire, my full blood to boil at the ludicrousity of it all.
All right.
But okay, it's done. I'm over it.
Moving on, we'll do my first book, The Phantom from Hermes Press. This is a #1. This was published in 2014 and is essentially the same story of the Phantom, just done in a newer way. So, gentlemen, what did you think of this book?
If you want me to go, I'll go. I'll say it was just generic.
Okay.
There's a couple part where I was outraged where someone is swinging a sword, he catches the sword in his hands, right? And then somehow is able to thrust the sword back up into the face of the guy that's swinging it. With like all this energy, I'm like, that's a superpower. Catching a sword in your hands is one superpower, but be able to fling it back with superior force from the sides of it, that's just beyond all. I think I think that was extra cheese on the burger that I didn't really want, and I don't think it's in alignment with who the Phantom is. He just seemed like there's a time. This is a new, I like noir characters or characters that lend themselves to noir. And Phantom is very much that type of character, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't see anything in there from his conviction. You don't see any emotion from him other than him trying to get his woman into the pool, which, many panels were spent on that.
Yeah.
But you don't see him like hating evil or villainy or having any attitude towards it. He's more seems to be doing it matter of factly, right? Oh, just doing this, doing that, shoot you in your gun. You pull your gun, I shoot the gun out of your hand. But nothing, you know what I mean? If he had a Robin with him, he would be joking, right? Let's go get him, old chum. Is that that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
It's every bit the Phantom that you know and love, but there wasn't enough personality to say this is a book I should follow.
Okay.
But I do like the Phantom. I wanted there to be more, and there is a surprise ending to this book that I did not see coming. But it's in the last panel. There weren't any clues in the book that lend toward that. It's just some random thing came out of nowhere in the last panel, and now you better get the next book if you want to read more.
Yeah.
It feels more like the comic strip put into regular comic book format. That level of impact.
Yeah.
That's all I got. What do you think about it?
Right. I would say this character, the Shadow, Green Hornet, they're all in the same vein in that they're regular people. I think the Shadow has abilities, but not really fantastic, not really intriguing in a way to where they're catapulted by some intense desire, some intense burning. There's a reason why the Phantom and Green Arrow have very similar stories, origin stories, but one has stood the test of time. One is now very current, very in your face, in your mind, in your heart character. Whereas the Phantom, he just walks around in his PJs. He's the ghost who walks. I have issue with his get up. It should be all purple if he's going to do purple or dark blue, whatever, but not striped underwear.
It's a purple jumpsuit, and then you got to put in something over the family jewels, and that you can put a holster on for your guns.
But not striped. Not striped. That is exactly where people, where heroes have the S on the chest, which draws gunfire. I believe that striped would definitely draw gunfire. The striped underwear.
I'm sure.
Whether he's facing you or running away.
It's titanium. Don't worry about it.
It's titanium underwear.
Yes, titanium shorts. Right.
Okay.
And then of course, if you take the time trying to hit him just in that one place, he's already taken you out.
He's agile, but he's not bulletproof. If you have a swarm of people coming, he's gone. He's down for the count.
I don't think that this version of the Phantom can work in modern time.
Not at all. And then also you have the Lois Lane character. I like her better than I like present day Lois Lane. How she is, it's the same character but done better. I don't know exactly why or how. Like it's the same, like, all right, stay here, Lois. I'm not gonna stay here. I'm gonna go with you. Stay here, Lois. And then the next panel, she's with Clark. But it's the same character, but just done differently. I don't know exactly what appeals to me about her and not Lois Lane.
So then now I'm going to suggest that you read the currently running Lois Lane book.
Yeah,
that is out now. That's all about her. And you can, if you liked that type of character, what can she do really on her own? You want to see that work. I think it's a good book to check out.
I just might.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
But I'm kind of with you, and I think what it is you get the history of the creation of Phantom, but what's missing from the Phantom in this book is his passion, is his wanting to fight evil, you don't see any of that. He is too busy trying to grab his girl's booty, and not have any, can't even leave her at home. Right? Why do I even bother?
I feel like
my goodness.
I feel like it was intentional to be sort of a homage towards the pulp noir heroes of that time. That there was no, that it was all about sensational entertainment, right? It wasn't. You didn't need depth. You needed these characters to just fight evil.
You have
because
noir
that's what
characters like a down on luck PI. There's always something tragic about them, right? And that tragic the fact that they have to keep overcoming their tragic life or whatever and their pathetic life. But this character doesn't have that. He's rich. He's got all the money and all the training, right? He's more a swashbuckler than he is an actual hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not, yeah, and there's no motivation. If you do a noir story about Batman, you could see some intensity. If you do a noir story about the Green Hornet, you can see some intensity and some motivation through the story. Here, though, you don't get that.
Okay.
You know, that's what's missing for me. It's not that he doesn't do the things that catching the sword in his hands and using his guns to shoot things out of people's hands. The skills are there, right? But he's not interesting. That's what was missing.
Have you guys seen the '90s movie?
Yes, I saw
Yes.
Yes, I also saw the Sci-Fi Channel modern day spin on the series. Also,
I didn't know about that. I
Ah.
did watch the '90s movie this last week though, because it's on Amazon Prime
hmm
with Billy Zane.
Billy Zane is the perfect guy to be the Phantom. He can pull off all of that.
Dude, and they did the costume really well.
Yeah.
Like that was a fairly well done movie for.
But I think that it can only exist as it is in that time frame, in the
Okay.
Indiana Jones time.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, do you guys remember the Phantom 2040 or 2099 or whatever it
Yeah,
was?
I'm getting ready to go. It's on my list to rewatch.
That was a pretty good cartoon.
It was a pretty good cartoon, but was he bulletproof?
No.
So he fought all that crime, and he was the five things. He didn't have all the five things.
I don't think
Then it's ridiculous. If you don't have the five things, then I believe a hero can't stand unless you put him back in time in the past.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right?
It works well for this era, for this genre.
Yeah.
It works really, really well. And if I were in that time, I would have extolled the praises of this comic. But in 2020, it's lacking something. But I appreciate it for what it is. I know it's not going to give me that very same thing that I've grown accustomed to in Oliver Queen or Bruce Wayne, that regular person being faced with an incredible circumstance and coming out extraordinary. This doesn't have that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you have to already be a Phantom fan to enjoy this.
All right. Well, we'll move
That
on.
being said,
Yes.
there is an animated series called Defenders of the Earth. Have you seen it?
No. What's it on?
Okay, it's came out maybe a decade ago. It's called Defenders of the Earth, and it was the Justice League crossover before there was a Justice League crossover in TV. It had Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, the Ghost Who Walks, and their kids all in one series, fighting together.
All right.
Right? It's called Defenders of Earth. You can find it on YouTube. Definitely check it out and see I would love to hear someone in the comments or come back and say what they like. And I would love for you guys to check out an episode. It's called Defenders of the Earth. It is one of the things that I'm going to rewatch
Okay.
because it was before there was a Justice League animated series or whatever. I think there was one back in the day though, but this brought the pulp heroes and made them, it's a cartoon, and made them sort of modernized and made them a team with their own background and everything else, right? And only the powers and abilities that are built in. So you had Mandrake was sort of like Doctor Strange in his own way, illusionary Doctor Strange, sort of Zatanna, right?
Yeah.
And you had everybody else was just sort of using their skills. Flash Gordon could fly any plane, drive any vehicle. He was the daredevil that could, that would jump into fire without, and the Ghost Who Walks was the Ghost Who Walks. But you also got the daughter of the Ghost Who Walks. You also had the son of Flash Gordon. You also had the adoptive son of Mandrake, also in these stories,
Nice.
trying to sort of make their own way. Definitely worth a try. Now, I remember it when I was younger. I don't know if it'll hold up, but check it out on YouTube, Defenders of the Earth, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Moving on to the last comic of the week, Saga Chapter 5. I selected this as just a random book. I have read the first 4 issues. of the series. Saga is one of those series that everybody kept recommending to me that I could never get into. And so I selected one of the issues sort of in the middle of the beginning arc, just to talk about if you were to pick up a random issue based on a recommendation from somebody, what are your impressions? And I've wanted to talk about Saga for a really long time, so I thought I would bring it on the show. What are your guys' thoughts on a single issue and as the series as a whole?
Emmanuel?
As a whole, it interests me because it's from the daughter's perspective, who at this point is an infant, was a baby, and she's talking about how her parents met, how they're from two opposing sides. You have like the Capulets and the Montagues, Romeo and Juliet type thing. They're two warring families, but they've come together. The guy has horns, the woman has wings, and they're races, alien races, and they just do not get along. They've been warring for time immemorial, I think. And now they've come together and they have a baby, and they're on this quest because their very existence, the baby's very existence, and their lives, they're sought after to be killed, to be detained. So that was interesting. That setup, that plot was interesting. The way it was done, this kind of Far East space opera type thing, I am interested, but not to continue reading. I had the first volume and I have yet to finish it because of that. I know I will get to it at some point in time, but as of right now, it's on the back burner. I have more pressing things to do. But like, read Elmer Fudd and Batman. So once they're gone, I'll end up reading it, curled by the fire with a book. But it's one of those things I'm not really itching to read. It doesn't captivate my attention and my emotions the way that I believe a normal comic should.
All right. I'm actually kind of surprised by that because this is written by Brian K. Vaughan, who did Y the Last Man, which is one of your favorite books. So I expected you to have like really high praises for Saga.
Not so much.
All right. Russ?
Okay. I am aware of this series standing in the zeitgeist of, people love it and it's one of the things you're supposed to read. And I think I got through the first issue and then I was like, oh, it's not bad. And then something else, more entertaining showed up. And it's one of those things that, like Emmanuel, I plan to get back to, but have never been in a hurry to do so. That being said, I don't know anything about who the perspective is and all of that. I just know what I read in the first book and now what I've read in issue 5. I think the story is well written. I do think the art is interesting. I think there's a lot here. What's lacking is I'm just not compelled to make it a priority. That's what's missing for me.
Okay.
I don't have anything negative to say about the book. It doesn't seem bad. It doesn't feel bad when it's just, okay, that's interesting. That's not bad. I like that. And that's it. That's the level that gets me there. And apparently some people, even with a graphic novel, still not going to read all of it. I don't know who those people are. But it seems interesting. I like and only looking at this issue, I like that it seems like the roles are reversed. The guy with the horns may not be the crazy one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was interesting for me. I like the it's grimy, it's foul, it's sexual, it's all these other things that won't make it in a mainstream book or happening in this world. And then there's animals that think and act and all of that, and animals and spiders and whatever, and hell of a different varying scale of moral ambiguity. And you just don't know what's going to come next. It's not one of the things I can predict. So it's pleasant like that. Like if this were an animated movie, I'd watch it, right? Because I wouldn't be able to predict where this is going. However, it's just nice.
Yeah.
That's sort of my viewpoint.
So this was recommended to me and has been recommended to me by several people, um, just because they know sort of what I like. And on paper, everything that you can use to describe this book and this series is everything that I should like. Um, it's absurd sci-fi, and it's sort of space opera if it took place in a heavy metal universe. You know, like it has that vibe to it.
Mhm.
But then, like with this issue 5, the first page is a robot taking a shit, and I'm like, why is this in this? I don't understand what this serves.
And why does he need a TV screen for a face?
Well, he's got a TV screen for a face, and he's reading a book.
Well,
It's
that's their race. That's their
yeah, the
that royalty,
the
So
robot race.
In other words, just take it. That's what you're trying to say.
essentially.
How it is. Okay.
But it also it pays off. I think towards the end, where that robot that we mentioned that was on the those latrine found out that he is going to be a father, and then towards the end of the book, they come upon this person or this villain, whatever, and she's reaching for something. They're like police officers. So he's on a horse. She's reaching for something, and on his TV screen, you can see he's thinking about it has just a pacifier, a pacifier. So he blasts the person that they said was reaching for something because he didn't want to take any chances. He's thinking about his newborn that he wants to be alive for. So on his screen, you just see the pacifier, and he blasts and kills the individual that was supposedly reaching for something. So that was interesting. It was good writing, nice little payoff to show why it was he made that decision to just be impulsive. He didn't want to take any chances on his life.
Yeah, I mean it's not poorly written. It's just some of the decisions that are made for scenes and characters I don't understand about the series.
Mm.
But it does have like kind of a Star Wars vibe. There's aliens that are they're just aliens. There's no explanation for it. They just look the way they do because it's cool, and I like that. I don't have a problem with that. The robots riding Pegasus, like that's that doesn't bother me. Like I
Is it
don't
Pegasi?
or Pegasi, yeah. The spider woman who's the bounty hunter. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Why does she have to have exposed breasts in the final page? It's just to be shocking, I guess. I don't.
Yes, just
You
to
know-
make sure we maintain our rating of mature.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's certain decisions that are made about this series and these books that I just don't understand. Like starting the book or starting the issue with a robot on the toilet and then ending it with a Spider Woman's exposed breasts. It's just weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why you would decide to do that. And maybe it's because I'm getting older.
It is. That's what it is.
18-year-old me would probably freaking love this and be like, oh, absolutely, I would totally write a book like this, But post 30 me doesn't get it at all.
And that's what you get for getting old, man.
Right? It sucks. I hate it, but alas, Elmer Fudd and Batman is my favorite book this week.
Well, you got to have something.
All right.
Yes.
Any final thoughts on Saga 5?
No, it is something that we will all apparently ultimately read. I
Yeah.
just don't know how old we are when we finish it.
Right.
Or maybe if they make an animated series, and then we'll feel compelled to finish it ahead of time.
Right, just to get the whole story arc in. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, you see Invincible. For those who didn't read that, you see they're getting the stars ready, the actors ready for the Invincible animated series coming to Amazon.
It's gonna be great. I
No,
love
that's
it.
awesome though.
Yeah.
All right. So, getting into the round table. This is the portion of the show where we talk about any links or random comic book related stuff that we find on the internet. Usually share that with each other. Um, I also want to take this time to just talk a little bit more about the articles that we posted on cornercomics.net, and sort of share our thoughts on what we've written for each other. So yeah, Russ, go ahead and start us off with the article that you found about the Ninja Turtles.
Okay, so according to this article, Ninja Turtles and Marvel's Daredevil share the same origin. So as the article dictates, it says that the canister of radioactive material that hit Matt in the face and made him Daredevil is also the same canister that fell into the sewers and became the ooze that created the turtles. Right? So it's all the same characters, the same canister. And then if you look at Daredevil fights a ninja clan called the Hand,
Right.
and the turtles fight a ninja clan called the Foot. And this article goes on to say that the guys who created the turtles were very much inspired by Daredevil, and so there's definitely a relation. It's not an imagined thing. Even when you look at the colors, they have Daredevil is red, Jessica Jones is purple, Iron Fist is green, Luke Cage is yellow. These match the colors of the masks of the turtles. So it gets really deep there, and it's just not something that I ever considered. What you guys think? You have any thoughts on that?
I never knew that this was a thing that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird had any affinity for Daredevil like that. I know that they were huge fans of Jack Kirby's art. Like they bonded over Jack Kirby's art, and that was how they became friends. And eventually ended up doing the Turtles comic. But I didn't realize that it went so deep as to the ooze being the same, or to them, like bringing that in from the Marvel universe into their universe, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, the colors I think is a stretch though, because I feel like from what I've watched and read and seen in different interviews and things, the only reason that they changed the mask colors was because they wanted kids to be able to identify the differences between the turtles, and as a reason to sell more than just one figure. Because the whole idea of the cartoon that we grew up with in the late 80s and early 90s was to sell Playmates toys. It wasn't it wasn't because people wanted to make a cool cartoon about Ninja Mutant Turtles. Is because
It wasn't?
it's because they wanted us to buy toys, which they successfully did quite admirably. I'm sure that Playmates amassed a small fortune off of just my parents buying me all of the Turtles toys when I was younger. So, yeah, this is really cool. I don't always read Screen Rant, so this was an interesting find.
Yeah, when the Daredevil Netflix series first came out, I did my deep dive and realized that that's where they drew their inspiration from the turtles. And I can see the Splinter and what is Stick? I think his name is Sticks or Stick. I could see that because he's blind, and the Splinter he's not blind, but just very similar.
Well, yeah, you got Daredevil.
parents.
Daredevil had the stick, and a piece of that stick is a splinter. So
Right.
they were trained by, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that along with I'm really bummed that they never crossed over. That Daredevil never met the Turtles. We got DC, we got Batman meeting the Turtles before Daredevil. I think that would be really cool. And for the four of them to realize that he's blind and still kicking butt, that would be great. I really want to see that interaction, and then have Matt Murdock sense or come to the realization that these are turtles. They're amphibians. These smell, they move like they're bulkier than a normal human. Like whatever sense that he'll get that they're actual turtles, that would be intriguing.
That would be interesting. I never thought about how you would write that. Um,
And that is an opportunity for a good writer.
that yeah, definitely. That's really interesting. Yeah, the article goes on to talk about how they did. They've never teamed up with Daredevil, but they have teamed up with like the Power Rangers because Saban had the rights
The
for the live
license.
action show for a while, and then I guess Boom Studios has done something with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe IDW and Marvel can come up with something because that would be a really cool crossover.
Yeah.
They're both in New York, right?
Hmm.
So,
Well, we have seen Batman and Spawn. Why not?
oh yeah, absolutely,
And I have also seen Invincible team up with Spider-Man.
nice. Okay,
I know he
yeah.
went to a few universes. He went to the Spider-Man universe. He went to the Batman universe.
Mhm.
Um, you never really explicitly saw it on the Invincible run, maybe somewhere else, but he just referenced it. And I think he had an issue with someone's power set or naming themselves after a giant bat, something like that. He just took issue with it, and he was saying it to himself as he was fighting someone else, which was interesting.
All right.
I'm waiting for a good teenage crossover with Marvel and DC. Let's have some more teen books. Let's have the Titans team up with a teenage group from Marvel or something like
Hmm.
that. I would love that.
Well, with the new Warriors coming out, maybe they could do something like that.
Yep, the New Warriors and the Teen Titans, that would be an awesome book.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on to a discussion we started last week before you had posted the article. 5 things every successful superhero needs.
Yes, and you love them all, right? You have any disagreements with my choices?
Well, you want to run down the five?
I can. Let's see if I can go from memory. The first thing everyone needs is some way to evade bullets.
Okay.
Whether you are bulletproof, have a spider sense, can turn invisible, have a force field or a shield or something, you have to. Modern day criminals will kill you if they get a chance. And if you're stupid enough to come out there with skin tights on, you will die. So I think if you can't, you name me some hero that has not found a way to evade bullets, and I'm saying that hero belongs in the past.
Okay.
Number two that occurs to me is you need a secret identity for two reasons. One, so no one will kill your loved ones because they will do that. Second, especially if you're in California, you will get sued for everything, right? If you're in New York, same thing. If you like, oh, I stubbed my toe when you took down Doc Ock, and I want you to pay my medical bills, you will, and then they have to arrest you because you'll get cited and everything else.
Yep.
You won't be able to do your job because process servers will be following you around the city to get you to show up in court. So you can't do your job effectively if you don't have some kind of refuge, a life to have. So that's the second thing that occurs to me. The third thing is you need transportation, right? If you don't have a Batmobile or a jet or can fly or have super speed or a horse to ride or something, you can't keep up with the villains. You can't get to the scene of crime in time. And no matter what your powers are, if you can't catch them, what good are you? Right? Too, are you going to be called too late, man? You know, too slow, man? Something like that. You know, that's why super strength by itself isn't enough. Uh, uh,
Okay.
let me see. What are the other? Again, I'm trying to do this from memory. Uh, the other ones are you need some sort of intelligence network, some sort of, uh, you need some help,
Yeah.
right? You need somebody to, maybe you need an alibi. Maybe you need somebody who works for the police department who can feed you information. Maybe you need somebody to sort of get you information on crimes or someone that is a criminal that helps you out from time to time. Maybe you need somebody to cover for you at work when you go put your costume on to go fight crime so you can still keep your job. You have to have It is a lonely business, and Batman does it alone, but he doesn't because he has all the Robins, 17 of them, I think, so far, and Alfred. So regardless of what you think Batman doing alone, he's not doing it alone. The last thing you need to have is money,
Finances.
right? Right? Somebody's got to pay for that special bulletproof weave of costume in the color of your choosing. Right?
Yeah.
Someone's got to, especially if you try to go full time, who's going to pay your house note if you're out there fighting crime all the time, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to, and then how are you going to explain how are you living here and you don't have a job, right? You need something out there. You can't just be, what are you going to be, a house husband? So your wife takes care of everything and you go out and fight crime? Is that how it's going to work? So you need money. That doesn't mean and you need to explain if you don't have a job, why you don't have a job. That's why it works so well for Bruce Wayne. He got money. So
Yeah.
he don't, where was I? Wherever. I'm rich. So those are the 5 things. There's a 6th thing. I put some other things in there, like you need the ability to take out somebody from a distance. For example, if you can run, Wolverine can't run that fast because he is carrying pounds of kilograms of metal.
Yeah.
He can't outrun you.
Yeah.
And what can he do if you can run away from him? Going to throw a claw at you? What can he do? Nothing. If you can keep ahead of Wolverine, you're safe. He may be able to smell you and find you ultimately, right? But you can get on a boat. You can do all these other things. So you need to be able to, a batarang, a gun, some heat vision. You got to be able to take people out from a distance. Otherwise, what good are you?
Okay.
Okay. What's your critique? Give it to me.
I think that finances probably, if you have enough finances, easily takes care of 3 of these things.
You can, yes, that's what Batman does. Batman takes all of these things with finances. Yes, if you have enough finances, you get all these things handled. But the absence of any one of these will seriously affect your effectiveness.
Yeah.
As a superhero, you got to have all these.
Yeah.
So just in case any of you or your children are budding superheroes, make sure they have everything in their checklist worked out. Right. You might also need a fortress of solitude or a hideout of some sort, but some people get out of their house and go through a skylight or something. It's doable.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, I agree with everything. But yeah, finances, you can get away with a lot of stuff just having a lot of money.
Yeah,
and
but if you had a lot of money, go ahead.
I feel like Elon Musk and Richard Branson are basically real life, Lex Luthor and Tony Stark.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos, too.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say Jeff Bezos. I'd say, what's the Microsoft guy?
Bill Gates?
Yeah. Bill Gates is right now a civil rights or maybe a human rights superhero, right?
Yeah, but like Elon Musk, the crazy thing about him is you heard about his tunnels that he's building under LA, right?
Yeah, let him go for it.
When he was on Rogan, Rogan's like, how do you do that? How do you start that? He's like, well, you get a permit to dig a hole. That's how it starts. And then
yes.
I feel like that's how, Luthor became president.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Do we trust rich people to be our superheroes? Right? Because is Trump your superhero?
I don't know about that.
He can certainly afford to be. He can afford to do all these things, can he? So it's not just rich is not there. You need something else. And then I put a thing in there because everything you need here to be a superhero, it works for a supervillain too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You got to be able to get away from the hero. You need a fast car or a jetpack or long legs or something.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad you posted that for the site.
Thank you.
We can talk about mine if you guys like. I just put together what I thought was a great first X-Men issue for somebody that's looking to collect. It's not too expensive. You can pick up X-Men 25 for, I don't know, $8 maybe. But it's a pretty seminal issue. Because Magneto does rip out the adamantium from Wolverine's body, and it's a pretty gruesome scene. I put a little screen cap in there.
I agree that this is classic for X-Men canon. However, if you don't already love them, like for some people who will remain nameless, if you don't already love them, there's not a lot here. This is like, you need to know your history. You know what I mean? And so here is, because that's what it feels like. You need to know your history. If you're really an X-Men fan, you need to know all these things, and you need to be collecting these things, because how can you call yourself a true X-Men fan if you don't have, and if you're trying to collect your X-Men, this is where you go. So for people that already have that interest and that propulsion towards getting that collection together, this is great. For
Okay.
people that are not X-Men fans, who shall again remain nameless, I don't know that it meets them. This sort of requires you to already like them and already have some sort of investment in their history.
It does have a cool hologram card on the cover. I don't know if that would. I don't know if that would entice some people in our group to.
Why you
maybe
didn't? I don't
pick it
see
up.
why you didn't put that picture up there, man.
I tried to find a picture of it. It's really difficult to find a scan that does it justice.
Got it.
And I couldn't make it work on my scanner. It
Yeah.
ends up just not coming through. So yeah, I'd recommend checking it out if you're in the shops. Do not buy these online though. I've seen them on eBay for like $30. And these people are just they're just out to take your money. It's not that rare of a book. I wouldn't spend that kind of money.
Nice.
But yeah. So any final thoughts for the week?
No, and don't forget my previous article. Just shoot them in the balls.
Oh yeah.
It's still on the site.
It is still on the site.
It's still on the site.
Oh, you can find us. You can find me on Instagram, Emmanuel Emmanuel spelled EM_MAN_YOU_EL. Emmanuel, that's phonetic. And then you can also find me on the websites at EmmanuelTheStory.com.
Okay, you can find me on the Twitter at Walrus. That's at WALLRUSS. You can also find me at BlackSuperheroFan.com, as well as we've already stated on CornerComics.net.
All right, and on that note, gentlemen, until next week.
The color